Hi, this is Ajmal the developer and welcome to HTML tutorial number 17 on HTML drag and drop API. So a few things to go over before we start our coding. So first thing first, as usual, a basic knowledge of JavaScript is preferred but not required. Second point, in HTML any element can be dragged and dropped. HTML drag and drop interfaces enable applications to use drag and drop features in browsers. And HTML drag and drop uses the DOM event, which is the document object model, and drag events inherited from mouse events, which we will demonstrate in the coding session. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start coding. So as usual, we have our document open and we'll go ahead with our boilerplate. So the way you do that would be to write the exclamation mark and press tab. So I want to start with the style of our HTML first, and then function, and then our HTML document itself. So the style would go inside the head section. So just like that, style. And we're gonna use the ID dev1, open quotes, and we're just gonna specify a few different styles which are very common to styles. So first one would be wet. So the wet, I'm gonna give it a 350 pixel, and for height we'll give it a 70 pixel, and for padding we'll give it a 10 pixel. So padding is the area around your document. And border, we're talking about the square that we will drag the item into. The border of that is square or rectangle rather. We're gonna give it 1 pixel. We're gonna have it solid, and we'll give it a color of AA, which is that one, and you can see it's this this color, whatever that is, a bit grayish color. So that is that for our style. And next section would be the JavaScript code. So that would be in the script tag. And that also goes in the heading section. So for a script, so this is the most important part. This is where all of the functionalities basically contain. What we can do is we can quickly code this, and then we can explain the technicalities later. So in the script, we have 3 different functions that do the 3 different scenarios. First one would be to allow the drop. Second function would be to drag the drop, and last function would be to drop that element inside the rectangle. So we're gonna write a function of we're gonna call it allow drop, and we will pass the argument EV for event. So this argument basically binds the data together with all these functions. And we're gonna do a method event dot prevent default, and we're gonna close that method. So this prevent default method basically instructs the browser to prevent or prevent the default event from the browser, because all browsers, they have their own default API that are linked to the drop API. So we want to definitely want to prevent that from happening, because we are gonna specify our own way of dragging and dropping. So that would be all for the first function. And for the second function, we're gonna do a drag. So a drag, and again we're gonna pass the same argument of event, and in between this function, the only method we have is so event dot data transfer dot set data, and in between the method we're gonna designate a text for the data, and we're gonna have an ID of, basically we specified this ID for the drag function. So event dot target dot ID, and we're gonna close this method. So that's that for that function. And last function would be the drop function. And again the same argument of ev, and this function actually has three different methods. So event dot prevent default, and we're gonna assign a variable here, variable data equals ev dot data transfer dot get data, and in between the brackets we're gonna pass the text ID. And last method would be ev dot target dot append child, and in between the method we're gonna specify the document dot get element by ID data, and we're gonna end this method here. So append child means inserting the whatever we dragged inside the rectangular that you will see shortly in the browser once we run our code. So that's that for the scripting part, and now we're gonna jump into the main part, which is the actual HTML body of document. So we're gonna first we'll give it a paragraph to describe the event. So we're gonna call, sorry about that. So we're gonna say drag the HTML tag image into the rectangle. Okay, so now we're gonna write a dev here. So dev, and in between dev we're actually gonna implement a few events and behaviors to instruct the document how to handle the data. So the way to do that would be dev id equals dev1, and this is the event on drop equals drop event and next event would be on drag over equals allow drop and pass that event argument and that is that for this dev and we're gonna actually do a line break here and then start with the next dev and last dev. So actually not dev but image, my apologies, image, because we need to insert the image that will be dragged and dropped. So image ID equals drag, what happened here? Image ID equals drag one, and we're gonna link the picture to this document. So the way to do that would be source equals double quotes, and the name of the file that I have saved on the same directory is called image underscore logo dot gif, and next event would be draggable equals true and the next event would be on drag start equals drag and the argument of event again, and we're gonna give it a width style here. Width equals 336, and we're gonna also give it a height of 69. And actually that is all for our coding. So if we have done everything according to the standards and we have coded properly, this actually should run. So let's go ahead, save this, and run this on our browser, see what happens. Bingo. You see, so we have our tag here and we have our rectangle here. So we should be able to click on this, hold it, and drag it in this rectangle here. Actually, it's not working. So there must be a bug in the code that we did. So why don't we go ahead and take a look there, see what we did wrong. Okay, so let's see here. We have our style, we have our dev1, width, height, style looks good, and script problem might be with the function allow drop if dot prevent default. Yeah, this seems fine. Next function drag argument of if dot data transfer dot set data text if dot target. Oh, there you go. This is one problem. If dot target, so I put a comment instead of a dot. If dot target dot id, so this is good. Next function is function drag if, so if dot prevent default, that's good. Next one is var data equals if dot data transfer dot get data, and we have passed the ID of text. And last line is if dot target dot append child document dot get element by ID of data. Okay, that's good. And script p tag is good, and our div is div ID equals dev1, which is this one here. On drop, it's actually supposed to be a lowercase letter. On drop equals drop event. On drag over, we have allow drop. Okay, that seems to be fine. And last line, image ID equals drag one. Source equals image underscore logo dot gif. Draggable true. On drag start equals drag event. Yeah, width height 69. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we don't need this one here because this is not div but an image. Okay, so far we found 2 bugs and we fixed them. So let's save this and rerun it, see what happens. Perfect. That's it. As you see, we accomplished our goal of dragging and dropping API on browser. And let's go ahead. Let's go back to the code and do some recap basically. So what we did was we wrote a simple HTML document, and in the heading section we gave it a style. We gave it some width, height, padding, and border. And then again in the style heading section we gave it a script, which is the JavaScript code. So we in the script we had 3 different functions. First off, we had the function of allow drop. We passed the arguments of ev, and we gave it a method of prevent default. So we implemented that method here, which prevents the browser from implementing the default API call for drag and drop. So we did that. And next function we implemented the if.data transfer dot set data text. So we give that ID of text, and last function was function drop event, which is the main function. And we kind of bundle up everything in this function, and we assigned a variable of data to this text, and then we use this variable in this last line of code to basically bind everything together. And append child method basically enable the text or the logo to be able to be dropped inside the rectangle. So that's the whole logic behind that behavior. As well as we implemented some event behaviors that are basically on drop event, on drag allow drop, and we also added the image draggable true event, as well as on drag start event, and width and height style. So that is all for this tutorial. I appreciate your time and effort, and hopefully I will see you guys in HTML tutorial number 10, and have a good day. Bye bye.